ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the WilHemi show. This is a good time to be an automotive journo. It's a good time to be an automotive enthusiast. It's a good time to be a basic, to be an actual mechanic. If you have been following the adventures of TK's Garage, you are well informed and you are up to date on all the goings on in Washington, D.C., and then subsequently Sacramento, or what's about to be going on in Sacramento, and thus what's going to be going on for the rest of the country. As you know, recent Supreme Court decisions have affected the power and the force that the EPA has. They don't have it anymore. The EPA is no longer authorized or enabled to regulate automotive technology, CAFE standards, miles per gallon, emissions, things of that nature. So along with that goes California, who has been the automotive Nazi of all Nazis. California and CARB, the California Air Resources Board, have cast draconian rules and fees and costs and regulations on the automotive industry, mostly pertaining to smog, to emissions, miles per gallon, things of that nature. And the previous administration, who had nothing to do with the Chevron decision, has actually the Biden administration and the Obama administration have enacted some crazy mandates on the automotive industry, such as Obama and his 50 miles per gallon, so many cars, CAFE standards, 50 miles per gallon needs to be the average, right? And then the only way you can do that is with a bunch of EVs. So the only way any automaker could survive those kind of rules coming out of the executive, this is executive order stuff. None of this was gone through Congress. These kinds of rules, the only way automakers could survive and comply with these kinds of standards would be to create a whole bunch of EVs, electric vehicles, right? Then Biden comes along and says, okay, just jump cut it all the way to the next thing. So many cars have to be EVs that the automakers produce, right? Forced technology. And California came in first with 2035. They were no longer going to allow a gas-powered, ICE-powered car to be sold in California. That sucked. That was the reason I had been planning my exit from this state, among many other things. I mean, the diesel regulations on diesel trucks, big diesel trucks. I am an owner-operator of a diesel truck, and the stuff that they're making us do is absolutely crazy. And basically, my truck would have been outlawed pretty soon. Now, I already went through that once with the diesel particulate filter thing. I had a pre-filter truck many years ago, and I ran it until I could. Then by 2016, they told me I couldn't drive it anymore. So I basically had to cluck it off. I had to sell it for a little bit of nothing because nobody would buy it around here. So I got rid of it, got another truck, started running lease trucks, with all the goodies on them and all that crap. But now they're trying to push those out. And even at the ports, they got an all-electric mandate is even sooner than 2035. So anyway, now, this wonderful time, this wonderful age, mainly thanks to the Trump administration and the recent election, we are becoming free. We are being freed from all of this junk. Now, the problem lies in that many people, many industries and automakers, mechanic shops, all kind of things have been gearing up for this EV mandate junk. And like I said, the only way we could possibly begin to comply with this stuff is by offering a lot of EVs. That is what took Stellantis to the mat and caused CEO of Stellantis to just say, jump we're just going to all EV everything. No more engines. We're just going to all EV everything we can as soon as we can, right? So we lose all our good engines. Everybody's crying. Everybody's pissed off, and they're thinking he just did it because he don't like engines. But I mean, he's a Euro, so you know, they over there, they still got the mandates going on. They still got everything that they have to come up with. So you got a mixed fleet of, if you're an international manufacturer, you got a mixed fleet of vehicles you got to prepare for. You got to prepare for U.S. standards. You got to prepare for European Union standards and the rest of the world if you make cars for everybody. So they said, screw it, we're going to go ahead and jump to EVs. Now, everybody else, all the other manufacturers are doing the same thing. They're trying to jump to EVs, trying to start producing these things. Now, Toyota, with the exception, Toyota is not doing it. They have gone the hybrid route. Bravo to you, Toyota. But anyway, all these auto manufacturers are pushing electric vehicles. Now, electric vehicles are not really ready for prime time use. You can work it into your system. You can work an EV into your lifestyle, but it limits your lifestyle. It does not open up new freedoms to you. If you are the owner of an electric vehicle, you have regulated yourself. You have choked a little bit of your life, of your lifestyle, by having to own this vehicle. Now, there are a few types of people who really want them, and they have gone out and purchased them. And, you know, like I said, there's a few types, okay? You got people who like the speed of the EV. I mean, namely, Tesla Plaid is a car that you would buy, a regular gearhead would not mind owning, right? You have people who like the speed, okay? That's one. You have people who are trying to get away from buying gas. And I mean, in California, that's a lot of people. A lot of people I know, well, some people I know have purchased EVs, have dumped their ICE cars and purchased EVs because they think they're getting away from gas. Now, yes, Tesla offers free charging for so many years, whatever, but all these other cars, they don't do that. And when you find out you have to pay for charging, if you're not on the Tesla network, supercharging network, you paying for your charge. And it can get $20, $30, $40, $50 on a full charge. You can't pay that much. And people don't know that. They think it's free. It ain't nothing free in this world, right? Okay, that's the second type. And the third type of person that buys an EV that really wants it and wants to keep it going, and really is, that's what they're going to do. Those are the greenies, right? The enviro wackos, the people who think the sky is falling and they think that driving an EV is somehow going to change the falling sky. Now, if you are involved in that religion, God bless you, have at it. But nobody else should be buying an electric vehicle, at least not now. Like I said, electric vehicles are limited. They limit your freedom. They limit your movement. No way around it. An electric car, while yes, it can be driven daily, basically maintenance free, right? You got tires, you got brakes, you got, you know, little electrical systems, you got the screen going out. Yeah, okay, basically, but the drivetrains are pretty much bulletproof from what I understand. But you have to charge the thing, and you have to wait to charge the thing. That's a big chunk out of a person's day, charging an EV. Now, God forbid you buy a Hummer EV, which, like I said, you're one type of person who just really likes that truck. That's the only reason about it. You are going to spend a week charging that thing at home. It does not go on the Tesla supercharging network, from what I understand. I mean, you can go to Target, charge your bad boy for a couple of hours. But that brings me to my next thing. In order to for an EV, an electric vehicle, to fit into your life, to be eligible, to where it would make sense for you, would be, there's a few things. There's a few things that have to be the case where an electric vehicle makes sense. First thing, you own several other cars that are ICE powered. And I'm not saying you and your wife have 2 cars to split. No, I'm saying you and your wife have 3 cars minimum between the 2 of you. If you by yourself, if you're single, you need at least 2, maybe 3 cars. Or you already have 2 cars when you're thinking about buying an EV. You got to have backup. An EV is not the kind of car that will offer you any kind of security or any kind of freedom. Now, okay, you gotta have multiple cars. Second thing, you got to not drive very much or very far or even very often. If you are a short commuter, you go to work, go home, go out, run a couple of errands, come back home, and you can let your car charge all weekend at your house, or at least all the way overnight, it might work for you. But like I said, there's a limit you got to place on your life to be eligible to where an EV makes sense. Like I said, you got to have a bunch of other cars already to where you can just drive your EV when you feel like it, when it's fun, and you can, you know, go out and race people when you're Plaid and all this other stuff, or your Sapphire, or you don't drive much. You're a walkie. You got a bike. You walk to work. If you can walk to work, if you can. You might want to drive here and there. Go out once on the weekend or something like that. But basically, you got a nice tiny EV that sits on a charger all the time. You're not driving. You're not a road warrior at all. Got to be the case for an EV to make sense in your life. The other time an EV makes sense in your life is if it's given to you. Company car, yeah, take an EV. You can charge it at work. Maybe you can charge it at home. You're not going out of town in it. You're not going on long trips. None of that stuff, okay? That's 3. Number 4, you do not live in an extreme climate. Like a place that gets really cold or a place that gets really hot. Like I said, unless you got other cars, unless you don't plan on driving it for 6 months out of the year, yeah, fine. But if you live in the cold, in the really cold, Chicago cold, you're not driving that car. You better have a bus pass. You better have something else going on in your life. But, I mean, other than that, EVs are pretty nice cars. They're quick, they're quiet, they're new, they got all the tech in them, they got all the, you got your self-driving, you know what I mean? On the Teslas, I mean, it's nice. Would I trust it? No. I'm a professional driver. There's too many possibilities and variables that go into driving down the street that I don't believe technology has mastered them all. Humans have not mastered them all, but we can react and learn quicker than the self-driving system on a Tesla. We know the difference between a truck that's not moving and a railroad crossing that's about to have, we can predict the future a little bit better than a Waymo. So, the Waymos get confused. They get confused. Check my video on Waymo. It's fun. I don't know why you would ever want to ride in a car with no driver and nothing but a screen driving you down the street. I do not see the reason when there's perfectly good Ubers, perfectly good Lyfts. Some drivers are not the best. I understand that, but I don't see the advantage to driving around in a driverless car that may or may not get you where you want to go, unless you really hate people that much, or you stink, or you want to pass gas a lot while you ride and you don't want to, get into it with an Uber driver. Understood, right? Understood. But either way it goes, at least now, this time, we don't have to buy an EV. That's got to feel great. I know it does to me. I like EVs. I've driven a couple. I've driven a few. And the acceleration is hard to beat. But am I going to buy one? I don't think so. I really don't. Can't see it. Now, I love the ID Buzz because I used to own a Transporter, a Westphalia Camper 66. I loved it to death. Now me, I'm in that category where I got other cars to drive. Should I decide to buy an ID Buzz, it will be a fun vehicle to be driven every so often. But at $61,000, $71,000 for the way I would want mine equipped, it makes no sense to buy a toy like that. I'm not that kind of millionaire. So, for the time being, I'm gonna keep Hemis under my right foot. And they coming back too. So, life is good. Thank you for watching.